Good evening, traders, and morning and afternoon, I guess. Welcome to the pre-market analysis via YouTube that we open up to the public every single Wednesday. This is Spartan speaking, by the way. Giving you guys a little bit of a breakdown on what's going to happen this morning. Once I'm done here, Beth's going to come on. Going to be going through the bigger picture items that make sense to be looking at today. Any news events that happen over the course of this evening or this morning. Some of the bigger cap names, ETFs, etc., that make sense to be looking at as well today. After that's done, I'm going to come on. We're going to be going through the individual names that are gapping up, gapping down. We'll go through the news associated with those names. We'll also go through the SPY, the FANG, the VIX, the Qs, the IWM. Basically look at everything from a technical perspective in the market. After that is done, Selfish will come on and go through the individual names that he's looking at. Basically the market from a macro perspective as well as any analyst calls today that makes sense to be aware of. And then we'll do a quick little recap of those individual names that I talked about this morning after that's all done. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead, pass it over to Beth, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Beth, if you're ready, it's all yours.
So thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome. Pre-market here, SpartanTrading.com. This is what we do every morning before the market opens. It's a lot of fun here. We discuss a lot of ideas, as well as what we saw overnight, macro, you got it, we name it. Okay. So what happened? Thank God no Fed heads talking today. That's all I can say right now. Loan prime rate was not changed over in China. API crude, it's a random walk theory, 1.86 build. What can I tell you? Nobody knows. All right, so some foreign direct investments in Indonesia, like way better than expected. It's fascinating because right now, it is going to be a function of broadening out outside the US. Okay, so a sustainable rally to me would have to include Europe as well as Asia Pacifically. I think all boats get lifted if we're going to see the bear market rally that will last for months. It's that simple, okay? Oh my goodness gracious, the heat wave over in Europe. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, okay? PPI out of Germany, better than expected, month over month, way better than expected, and year over year, a little bit better. Over in the UK, a little bit better, but still pretty robust. PPI, you name it, they did it, higher than expected. I mean, come on, guys, this is 24%. That's a lot. I mean. All right, mortgage backs. What do we got? 5.82, a little bit higher than last report. Okay. Refinance, lower, 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 way lower. Okay. Bundesbank, moderate speaking today. Thank goodness. I mean, no Fed heads, as far as I can tell. It's like a day with sunshine. You don't have a Fed head talking. Yeah, gas. Let's see what happens. What that looks like. I mean, just it's a random walk. Existing home sales, we'll see how that goes. Consumer confidence flash out of the European area. And we'll get going. All right. Still, this is just fantastic, guys. Now we got Tesla, we got Netflix. And the sky did not fall, but it was bought up into. So we'll see how it settles. I'm sure it's going to be on, it will be because it's part of FANG on Spartan's honey-do list this morning. I am interested in the rails, you know that. I did take some profits on my Union Pacific because that made sense to me. Also one of the key components would be retail and transports. And we discussed this for the past couple of weeks, and I want to see some of these. And I have been playing gingerly the retail side. And so we'll see what happens. But Tesla, United, Alcoa, Steel. I love it. Just fantastic. Okay, what do we got? We do have some beats here, right? And we have some misses. Baker Hughes. Okay, Baker Hughes. Wow. Okay. Bib, better than expected. ABT, Abbott, and they raised their guidance. God bless their little hearts. ASML, that's what we want to see. No sky falling. Okay. So there's an interesting, this trend, she's in economics, I believe she's located, I don't know where she's located, I'm not sure, okay? But basically, this is what I forgot was, in terms of imports in China, the vast majority of the imports are commodities. Okay. China imports grew by a staggering low of 1% year over year in June. By the way, it grew 4.1% in May and then shrunk in April. Anyways, the imports, what's comprised of those is heavily weighted to commodities, right? It's an indication that things are a hell of a lot worse than we know in China. Hell of a lot worse in China. Just saying. She's very articulate. I like watching her, following her. She just has a great handle on stuff. All right, my friends, let's take a peek here. Here's Carolyn Borden. She now is heavily involved with Elliott Wave peeps. She reports for them. Basically, Meta is into resistance. You can see all the fibs, right? So they don't report till next week. All right, so for your Elliott Wave peeps, this is what the count looks like on an hourly basis on the SPX. Okay, Elliott Wave is similar to, don't get me wrong, economists. Doesn't matter if they're right or wrong, they can always adjust. So that's how it is with Elliott Wave. It's not etched in stone. It's like they kind of like alt, stuff like this. It's okay. It's okay. But these are the best of the best at Elliott Wave. Okay. Just saying, Avi Gilbert is the top dog when it comes to Elliott Wave. If you don't know him, he's on Seeking Alpha also. He has his pinball wizard that he puts out. I subscribe to him. I've been subscribing to him for years, because it gives me a great idea in terms of, at least because some people do use Elliott Wave, right? And there's a lot of fibs involved, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, here's alt 5, 4, but if we're looking at, this is 2, this would be 3, okay? And that would be up here. Whatever. Okay, global profit after, I did not realize this, okay? Net percentage say global profits will improve. Look how low this is. So the conundrum is, did the analysts, did the businesses, companies lower their guidance enough that the lower the bar is so low that they have no capacity but to jump above it, right? That's the question. I don't know, I'm just saying. But when you have a Baker Hughes miss by 50%, come on. That means they did a very bad job, okay, in terms of guiding, right? Now, the question is, what we have been seeing lately, right, is stocks that have missed have been bought up, and stocks that have beaten have been bought but then sold. I'm profit taking. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. This is interesting. System demand. Look at this. Pretty cool, right? I don't know. Average rent for Austin, Texas. Dear Lord. Utah? All I know, yeah, it's expensive. Twitter must fast track to October. Look, South Beach has done his running narrative on this stuff. Just don't fight it. Okay, this is facts. This is what it looks like. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Push banks to cover more payment services scams. This is a CFPB. Okay. Okay. Zelle. I don't know what to tell you. Look, I'm not big on government involvement unless there's some egregiousness that's happening. So if they're saying that some of these payment services are scams, then I don't have any problem with that, because the government needs to work for the people. I don't care if you're red, blue, purple, whatever. People, we the people. That's my narrative. You want to make America great again? Invest in America. That's for stocks up on toys ahead of holiday season. God bless. 75%. Okay, I hope it works out for them. Facebook shifts resources from news, thank God, to focus on creator economy. Thank God. Okay, the problem with the world we live in right now is the news stream. I can't even tell you what's real or what's not real anymore. Okay, I'm serious. I cannot tell. I just can't tell. It hurts my head. And then you add this Instagram shit and this other stuff. Even Twitter. How much shit is on Twitter? A lot. As BA5 spreads, how long prior? Okay, well, guess what? There's no protection here. Okay, my brother is in Europe. I can tell you, he wears the N95 mask. He got it on the plane because the dude next to him was coughing up, hawking up. And when he ate, that's how he got it. He's in a hospital in Europe. I'm just saying. And he did everything right, boosted, you name it. This BA5 stuff, embrace it. I have. I'm not happy, but I have. U.S. Senate votes to move ahead. Oh, do your job. This really pisses me off, okay? When you spend on infrastructure and you spend on basically making America great again, you basically invest in manufacturing. How do you do that? Well, you incentivize. You want these oil companies to drill, baby drill, then give them tax incentives. You want chip manufacturers here in the States, well, give them incentives and quit your belly aching about the cost, because it comes back with tax revenue. It comes back eventually. And I don't care about who it benefits, who it doesn't benefit. Boo-hoo. Once again, build in America. See how that goes for you. You'll like it. Try it. Chinese premier signals flexibility on economic growth. Yeah, you hear that sucking sound, don't you? Netflix loses more users, but it was 970,000 and they were expecting 2 million. So, okay. Warns of Nord Stream 1 as gas capacity cuts over equipment repairs. Yeah, that he can say whatever he wants to say. Bank of England will consider a half-point rate hike in August. Prime Minister Draghi will address the upper house. China vowed to take a resolute and strong response to any Taiwan visit by U.S. out. What the hell does that mean? What the hell does that mean? Whatever. See, I'll be honest with you. I don't think she should be going. I'm just ECB policymakers. A lot of central banks will be meeting on Thursday. Why? Depends on Russian gas and oil is limiting the continent's room to maneuver in the mountain U.S. Well, seriously, do you really think Russia's stopping at Ukraine? I'm just asking. Who amongst you thinks that? Australia, U.S. Commerce Department, collaboration with 37 other nations that have driven down exports to Russia. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken is expected to point to Russia's invasion as an urgent reason for governments to cooperate. I agree. We basically have gone through a phase of deglobalization, right? That's what we've been going through for the last few years, right? This is what it looks like when you deglobalize. Just saying. All right, what do we got? Kathy Woods closes the door on Oaks transparency. I don't know what the hell it is. She's telling you anyways. Coinbase pauses Bitcoin SV withdrawals. I don't know what that means. So the past AMC, this is interesting. It repurchased 72.5 million of its second lien debt at a 31% discount. Wowza. Wowza. So I posted this. So what I've been doing, and I'll get to this, what DCB is talking about. I'm in Mara, I am, but I'm in this APLD, I'm in this SDIG, I'm in these little digital mining companies, and it's working so far. Juniper, flips, slippers, downgrades, yada, yada, yada. What do we got here? All right, what do we got? Okay, we do have to talk because there's an extension, but it's not going to take much. I mean, just a slightly down day would be enough to correct this. And I'll show you that as well. Okay, what do we got? So no change there for the next 7 days, next week. Flow. All right, I want to bring to your attention that we haven't seen this in a long time. Okay, so the SPY right now is at 38.7 million in terms of sweeps. And I told you what I was seeing. They're basically selling IWM and they're buying SPY. All right, let's take a look at last week. We're at 38.7 million on SPY. Last week, we were at 24.7 for the whole week. And we were 63.6 for the whole week. Okay. We're seeing sweeps that we haven't seen before. Institutional buying and the stuff is going out. It's not just, lotto type stuff. They're going out September, October, leads into like March 2023, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something new. They are going into FANG. Okay. And the semis, all positive. What do we got? Apple, NVIDIA, AMC, NEO, and Silvergate. It's been a long time since we've seen this much green on the stock volume side. And once again, they're not playing this on the option side. Okay, they're just not. Okay, not. Oh, Costco, Delta, Tesla, Taiwan Semi, all being hyped. What do we got in terms of insider buying? Could Dr. I'm in this one. I love it. I think this thing is going a lot higher. I think they're going to split out. We'll see what happens. But anyways, CMTL was multiple as well, but it's not a lot of money. But this Could Dr. Pepper, they're gobbling this stuff up. The same thing with this Camp, right? Goss continues to be bought, right? Let's see what's being sold. Sienna. This is kind of interesting. This is Holly. This was not tied to options. Wayfair was, and obviously you look at it differently when it's tied to options, right? Bill, I don't know, just saying. Sienna's a 1, interesting, right? All right, what do we got? Downgrades. Once again, this really boggles my mind when they downgrade, but they raise their price. Just Google, downgrade, raise their price. I mean, come on. South Beach can articulate a hell of a lot more, but this is just bullshit. We continue to see the oil names upgraded. The stocks are cheap, okay? Not the Schlumbergers, not the Halliburtons, but the Chevrons, the XOM, right? Netflix got an upgrade by Stifel. God bless. Albemarle, no price change though. Bobalicious. Let's see what our top dogs and dog kits are doing. 70%, 4. Thank God I got on my 4 yesterday. It was a huge winner for me, but God, sometimes you just kind of take it and move on. All right, here we go. All right, so dumb money still doesn't believe this. Okay, dumb money, Uzis and Meezies. That's right, we're dumb. Is at record levels of pessimism. Smart money, on the other hand, is at top. Just saying. Where do we go from here? Probably higher, right? Because we're retail, right? All right, gold miners, volatility, low, low, low. Look at this is what I'm talking about, the sea of red. That means things are extended in a short time frame, right? Energies, this will bounce, right? Utilities will bounce. Nifty 50 still high. All right, so let's take a look here. This is what I'm talking about. This is not in a bear market. Oi. So all I have to say is, oi. SMH 98. So we're going to see a pullback in the chips. The question is going to be, it should be shallow. Look, Spartan drives this bus. Short term, yeah, okay. This is way overextended. All right, so let's take a look now at the charts. All right, quickly. Bonds, yield curve, steepening. Germany, rates selling off. Japan, Australia, all across the board, except Brazil. 5-year, who cares? We're still consolidating. It's flagging quickly. The drill, right? So it's bouncing. So we're steepening, not flattening, inverting. Here's the 510. Same thing. We got a huge bounce off of this pivot. Really fascinating. Here's the 530, huge bounce still inside this range here, this box. I don't think we actually break out of that anytime soon. I'm not sure why that's popping up. But anyways, China. Rates have to go lower. Germany, rates are going down right now. Dollar pulling back still. And Chinese yuan, it's gonna have to go higher. The economy is a shit show, and everything is telling us that, right? All right, so what do we got here? Bitcoin's gaining a little bit against Ethereum, 48% still over the last. This is crazy, 7 cases, this is really good. Anyways, yeah, still 30% gap. Commodities, let's take a peek. Gold is down slightly. We've got aluminum, zinc, nickel. I told you watch the nickel names. I told you to watch the copper. Wheat's up, right? All across the board, orange juice, cattle, hogs, feeder, lumber, okay? This is what it looks like. It rotates through. DBC is a nice bounce still. I'm gonna quickly go to the stocks. DAX, it got rebuffed here, so I basically got out, and if it reclaims this pivot right now, right, that is the 50 EMA on the monthly, then I'll get back in it, or if it gets all the way back down here, then I'll get back in it. That still looks fine. It has not reached its resistance yet. Fez was really taken to the woodshed. EFA, A2 is bouncing, notable. FXI still has not done what it needs to do. It just hasn't, okay? So we're still within this massive range, and it's still a bear flag on the monthly. I know, crazy, right? We'll see how it plays out. All right, KWeb, same thing. Doesn't look as bad. Just slowly, I think we're making one of those little cup and handles, doodads, you know, a little rounding bottoms. I see QQQ into resistance, right? That was the 100 EMA, and you know the money shot is this QQQ, CQQ. So this is what really bothers me right now is where we're at with this spread without QQQ. So I'm expecting a pullback. Bobblish is still stuck within a range. VXN, this is kind of interesting. It's trying to break, but this is systemic. I don't know if it can. FANG has done nothing of importance. I know, you think, but no. XLP, let's talk. Consumer staples still looks fine. It basically reverted back to the mean, which is right here, bounced right off it. Let's see if we can start to break higher. We obviously have this downtrend line. So let's take a little components. P&G only pulled back, okay, to the 23.6 bullish. KO still bullish. Didn't even get, it did pierce last month, but you can see we're still in a range consolidation. Still bullish. Pepsi, still bullish, range bound. Costco, let's keep an eye on Costco, friends. This could sneak up on you. I think we break all-time highs and go and make the next leg up. That's my story sticking to. Philip Morris, okay, so when it's all said and done, Philip Morris has a double bottom in place on the monthly. Let me see right here. Reclaiming 38.2% field. Let's see if we can get going on this. The consumer staples are still okay. Mondelez, same thing, reversion to the mean, holding up, okay. But this is the range, and that's okay, right? It's gonna take some time. Walmart, okay. So Walmart, for obvious reasons, because of earnings, right, got taken to the woodshed, but it's slowly climbing its way up. Okay, slow and steady grind, right? Altria, MO, double bottom, FYI, notable 61.8% fib. Estee Lauder, these are all the components if you haven't figured it out of. the consumer staples. SD Lauder, I don't trade it. All right, SPY XLP, let's talk here. This is really fascinating. Okay, so I could argue that this is a bear flag, right? I don't know, we'll see. It has to basically, the SPY has to reclaim. Now, if the SPY reclaims this stuff, then obviously we're in that bear market rally that will last for quite some time. You know, same drill here, right? You can see a bear flagging, hasn't broken out yet, basically has to take out the 50% fib. We'll see if it does on that spread. IWM XLP, same thing, hasn't broken the downtrend line. Trying to steal your friend. XLP, XLY, yeah, I know. Interesting, right? Very interesting. Keep an eye on that one. XLP, XLK, same thing, right? XLK is starting to, this is, okay, I could say this is a flag, right? I don't know, kind of interesting though. FANG XLP, same narrative, right? Your flagging still hasn't been, this is why I look at monthlies. It gives you a perspective, right? Still bear flagging. It has to break this pivot right here, 76.2 on the spread. Toge, take a look. I like Toge. I'm in Toge. I think, you know, on a risk reward basis, you know, basically, you know, 130. I don't know. I started buying when we got this little double bottom here. I don't know, whatever. Okay, so let's talk about retail, OTH. All right, so this is one of the things I want to look at right now. It's bear flagging still, but it's looking better and it's about to break. Keep an eye on this. This is an indication that we are going to go higher. Okay, can go higher. I want to see retail take some leadership. You know the drill. All right, healthcare, XLV. All right, so this is a weekly, still holding, fine, okay? Reverted to the mean, consolidated. We have to see if we can break through that. UNH. This is one to keep an eye on, all right? So on a weekly basis, UNH has broken the 78.6% fib. Those who know me know that this is the key fib for me in terms of trend change. If you break it, it's holding it. 531.23 is the weekly pivot we have to hold. Close above. If not, it gets squishy. Okay, so let's see what happens. It's Wednesday, still got plenty of time. See how it plays out, right?
I Beth ready to pop on here.
Okie dokie. Have fun, guys.
All right, guys, what's up? Let me just pop up the screen share here. All right, let's see what we got going on today. So if you guys are new to chat and have already done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that is emailed to you if you did join the room. If you guys are coming in from the free server, you do need to leave the server first and then click that link. Otherwise, you won't be assigned the new roles. When you guys do come in, go to the new to chat information section, give that a read from top to bottom. We'll go over that stuff once we do close down the YouTube stream later on, but give it a read from top to bottom, and then you should be able to understand what's going on in the room, et cetera, et cetera. All right, pre-market tickers on watch, guys. What do we got going on today? A couple different things. Tesla, Netflix, Disney, Coin, Roku, and SDIG. Tesla gapping up ahead of earnings here. Netflix earnings, BDPS and revs miss. Year-over-year growth, 8.6%. Q3 guidance lowered beyond the sub decrease in the quarter. That's why it's gapping up. Disney gapping up in sympathy with Netflix. Coin gapping up in sympathy with Bitcoin. Roku gapping up in sympathy with Netflix. And then SDIG, which is a smaller Bitcoin or crypto-related tech company, is gapping up in sympathy with Bitcoin and as well as just on volume. All right, let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two we're looking at today, guys, are going to be Tesla and that Netflix. So let's have a look at those two. So Tesla, Netflix, let's have a look. Tesla obviously gapping up nicely here. Not like a ton, but it is looking pretty decent on the daily chart. If you take a look at that, you can see that we have the basically push into the 50 MA at the moment. We're not quite above it just yet, but this is setting up for a nice continued push to the upside if we can get above that level today. So let's take a look at what we got going on from a technical perspective intraday here. All my levels are labeled. I want to label this one right here though. At 758. There we go. Perfect. Okay. up to 743. There you go. Just gonna delete all these. All right, this 50 MA labeled. All right, so 743.72 area going to be the pivot to the upside today, and that's the 50 EMA to the upside on the daily. If that level is able to hold, we do have room for continuation into the 758.27 to 770 area. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback on tests. I'm just deleting some of these lines, guys. It's just easier to see. Unable to hold, we got room for continuation back towards the 716.15 level. That level breaks, we can see further continuation lower into the 767.88. Overall, on Tesla, going to be leaning bullish today, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot point is able to be reclaimed. Big level, like I said, 50 MA, so we'll see what happens in that regard. We're going to be looking at the market as well in a little bit, but the market is pushing into massive resistance as well on the daily, so we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. There's going to be quite a bit of resistance across the board to get through. That is Tesla leaning bullish only if that pivot can be reclaimed today. All right, Netflix, let's take a look at this. Gapping up. Did a pretty damn good job on earnings, actually. Kind of a classic case of everyone being bearish, expecting one side of it, and it gets that little bit of a squeeze off the lows. Okay, let's take a look at the thing intraday. So pivot to the upside today on Netflix going to be 210.49. This level is able to hold 217.43. That 223.19 level will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards the 205.13 to the 197.54 level on the upside. Going to be leaning more on the bullish neutral side today. I think there's just too many people on the short side of this thing. They're going to try to hammer it out the gate. And if it holds up, I do think it can actually push back to the upside pretty decently. So you would need to see a hold of the pivot for that to occur, but I'll be leaning bullish neutral based off of that for now. So that's Tesla. That is Netflix. Let's take a look at the next two. Just going to save this. So for when I type up that pre-market action plan. All right, Disney and Coin. Let's have a look at those two names. All right, I got to label this level right here, guys, on Disney. That should be okay. Yes. Perfect. $158 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 102.97. If that level breaks, you got room towards 105. Unable to hold 98.72 to 95.69 on the downside. Leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point's able to hold as well. Same sort of deal as Netflix, except you got to break out off the lows on Disney. I think that it should be able to push in sympathy with Netflix if it does get that next leg up as well. So watch them both together. They should be trading together today. All right, let's take a look at Coin here. I've actually quite liked the way that Coin's looked the last couple of days. Similar chart to Disney off the lows. You got this curl, all EMA support, reclaim, range break off the lows. A lot of good stuff from a technical perspective is occurring here. Obviously, don't need to go that high, but I think the 50 MA is definitely the magnet in the short term. It's been that way for, with a lot of these higher PE tech names off the lows. 67.42 pivot levels able to hold. 71.01 will be tested to 72.60. Unable to hold 64.05 to 58.62 on the downside. Overall on Coin, leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point's able to hold. So that's Disney, that's coin. All right, let's take a look at Roku. Let's take a look at SDIG. Okay, let's take a look at Roku here. So trying to come off the lows, 50 MA at 92.88. I'm gonna have to move this one a little bit. Actually, we'll keep it at 93, so that's fine. Close enough. All right. We'll actually use 90 as the pivot. 90 pivot to the upside today, level holds 93.20 to the 98.16 level will be tested. Unable to hold, we got room towards the 86.04, that level breaks. 82.03 will be tested on the downside. Overall, Roku going to be leaning on the bearish side today, looking for continuation lower if that pivot point is unable to hold. And that is Roku. Let's take a look at the last name, SDIG. All right, pivot to the upside today, 270. That level is able to hold. You got room towards 297. That level breaks. You got room for further continuation into the 338 spot, which is the upper end of the next range. Unable to hold, you look for a pullback towards the 245 level. That level breaks, 215 on the downside. Overall, on SCIG, going to be leaning on the bearish side, looking for a pop topping to take the name on the short. So that is Roku, that is SDIG. All right, let's take a screenshot of these two and let's move on to the next. Which is the Spine Fang. A little bit of a misprint candle there on the SPY, guys, but slight gap down here. Let's take a look at the daily and we pop up the daily charts beside all this. This helps quite a bit. There we go. Let's do that. Let's do this. We can actually see what the heck's going on here. Okay. So I talked about this briefly there this morning. And we're talking about Tesla, but let's go into a little bit more in depth here. Let's look at the actual chart. Look at a few different things. All right. So, obviously SPY in a channel, short term, as we can see. We've got a little bit of resistance around the 400 level. That's going to be coming up. That's not the concern today. You have this range that's today, as well as this 50 MA. So the range around 393, then that 50 MA around 394. So those are the two larger resistance levels that we need to get through in order to see some continuation higher today. So that's just an FYI in that regard. Otherwise, we're going to see continuation back to the downside. Typically, when you get the market 50 EMA break back to the upside, you get a little bit of a rally for about a week or two, especially when we are still in a downtrend. My guess is what you would see is a push back towards the $400 level, which would happen probably over the course of 2 days. And then we would see how sustainable that rally would be. But that's if we get above the 50 EMA. We're not there right now. But we need to know where that level is, just because it's important. We got into the 393 range yesterday, didn't break through it. And that's going to be close to where the pivot is today. We're going to use 392.27 as the pivot to the upside. That level holds. Room to 394.29 to 395.89. Unable to hold. 390.88 pivot. Sorry, 390.88 support to the 389.02 level on the downside. Overall in the market right now, I'm actually leaning more on the bearish neutral side because the pivot is there and you have all this resistance to the upside. I think we could come in because of that. So that is the SPY. Let's take a screenshot of that. Let's move on to the next. Next name, guys, Apple. Take a look at this. So Apple actually looks fantastic on the daily. This is a positive. 150.96 pivot to the upside today. This level holds 153.42 to 154.95 will be tested. Unable to hold 149.73 to 148.42 on the downside. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today, looking for a continuation push higher. If that pivot point's able to stay intact, I think we can get another leg up. Again, I like the look of it. Looks good for continuation. Daily chart above all EMA support. There's a little bit of range resistance right here you got to get through. I don't know why this isn't labeled 151.76. In fact, that should probably just change to it. Make that pivot. There you go. And there you got your pivot to the upside today. So going to be leaning bullish if the pivot can be reclaimed on Apple. Otherwise, you'd be looking for a pullback. Again, big, large range resistance to the upside. All right, let's take a look at Amazon. Oh, I don't have any levels on this. So love the look of Amazon. This thing looks fantastic. You got your range resistance that needs to hold. That's going to be your pivot to the upside today. But other than that, I mean, this is a good looking chart from the daily perspective. Everything looks good off the lows. Got the 50 EMA curl reclaimed to the upside. EMAs all, holding at the moment. I think it looks pretty damn good. Pivot, like I said, is going to be 118.13. The level is able to hold. You got room for continuation back towards 121.26. Unable to hold 115.76 to the 112.58 on the downside, leaning bullish. If the pivot point can hold, I think we can get a nice little push continuation on it to the upside. I like it. I think it looks pretty good off the low here. That's Amazon. Let's take a look at Netflix. Oh, we did Netflix already. Meta. So Meta, similar to the other names, guys, in that it's got room to push back into the 50 EMA. This one actually got that range break off the low. So obviously 50 MA is the next big level for it. It got into that level last night on Netflix earnings release. And you can potentially see something similar to Netflix, I think, on this one, just because it's beaten down just like Netflix. I think people were leaning quite bearish, or are leaning quite bearish into the earnings. Anyways, pivot to the upside today, guys, going to be this 175.49 range. That level holds. We got room to the 50 MA, 179.42. Above there, 183.91. Unable to hold 171.48 to the 168.88 on the downside. And like, you know, the other names, leaning bullish if the pivot point can hold. So basically, you're going to get direction pretty quickly out the gate this morning. You know, either the pivots are going to hold out the gate or they're not. And you're going to see names either push to the upside or come in fairly quickly. You're not going to have to really wait for it. Should make for some pretty good trading all day, I think. All right, that's Meta. Let's take a look at Google, which this has been my least favorite of the FANG names. It's acted terrible after it split. And I guess it, you know, in my opinion, when you get too many, it's the same thing as any other trade. You get too many people on the same side of it thinking it's going to push. It's just not. The market makers are going to hold it down. Especially because all those options were juiced up in anticipation of it. And then obviously it just didn't happen. I'm just going to collect those premiums, right? Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 50 MA area. 114.84. Levels able to hold. Move towards 116.29. Unable to hold 112.55 to 110. Sorry, 110.02 on the downside. Actually leaning on the bearish neutral side of Google, looking for a continuation lower if that pivot point can, or is unable to hold. So there's your Google. All right, let's take a screenshot of this. Let's move on to the next. VIX Qs and IWM. $24.79 pivot levels able to hold. 26.01 to the 27.44 level will be tested. Unable to hold 23.47 on the downside. Overall on the VIX, not leaning any particular direction, but keep an eye on that 23.47 level, guys. Double bottom on the daily. If the market or the VIX does pull into that area, it should act as pretty strong support. If it does break, you're going to see the market probably push through the 50 MA and get that next bigger leg up on the daily chart there. So that's what's going to need to break, is that double bottom on the VIX. You're going to need to see it come in order to get a sustained bear market rally. That's the VIX. Let's take a look at the Qs and the IWM. So QQQ actually looks pretty damn good on the daily. Wow. I'm actually quite impressed by this chart. Wow, nice. Okay, so you have the reclaim of that 298.40 level, which around the 50 MA. That level holds 304.04 to 307.27. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 294.79 to the 288.27 level on the downside. Overall on the Qs, leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today if the pivot point's able to hold. As the Qs, let's take a look at IWM. 178.35 pivot level holds 180.33, unable to hold 174.91 to the 171.22 on the downside. Overall, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. So similar to the Qs as well, a really nice daily looking chart, 50 MA curl, range break off the lows, looking good. Let's take a look at not mRNA, sorry, NVIDIA real quick. And then we'll look at Microsoft. I always like to look at these two as well this morning or in the mornings. NVIDIA, so you're into the 50 MA as well. Pivot 170.22 level holds 172.06 to 175.64, unable to hold 166.17 to the 163.93. Semiconductors were looking good yesterday, of course. Now, a few of them are into resistance levels like the 50 MA, like NVIDIA. So it's going to be hard for them to get continuation today, but we'll see what happens in that regard. And then last but not least, let's take a look at Microsoft here, guys, real quick. And then I'll pass it over to South Beach. Yeah, so Microsoft, okay. Pivot upside today would be 256.49 area. Levels able to hold 260.50 to 263.73. You're gonna be right into that 50 MA at that level. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback on Microsoft towards 254.01. I like Microsoft for continuation as well today into the 260s, but we'll see what happens after that. All right, so that's a SPY, that's a FANG. Those are the individual names today. I'm going to go ahead, pass over to South Beach while I type up that pre-market action plan. Then we'll do a quick little recap for the open. South Beach, if you're ready, all yours.
Morning, guys. Okay, let's see what we got going on today. Start with the big guy, the bonds. So they're down. 10 years down 296.056. 2 years down a little less. So that spread will widen somewhat, right? So we're at 22. So we've been rotating between what, 20 and 30 at the max. So the spread now is what, on the lower side, to 23, let's say. Okay, so that's the inversion. That's that, right? What else are you going to say? Rates are down in London. Their 10 years down to 208. That's 0.1 move, which is pretty significant. I think they just see a slowdown coming in Europe. The inflation number came out earlier. What was it, like 9.3% or something, or 9.4%, the highest inflation they've had in 40 years. So, and then the bond goes down. So you got to say to yourself, okay, well, they're either thinking a couple of things. One is peak inflation, and the other is the economy is going to slow down a lot. I think it's probably a combination. Okay, so that's London. Germany, 1.21 down 0.06. Interesting. Kramer was just talking about the energy problem in Europe, and he was really focusing the blame on Germany in a big way. If you recall, I think it was Trump even. I think it was during his administration that he said, don't put all your eggs in the Russia basket. And sure enough, they did. They stopped coal mining. They stopped all their, all their self, ways of, getting energy, and they became reliant on Russia. And I'll tell you that Merkel, in retrospect, she made a lot of mistakes. Let's put it that way. So that's that. So rates are down in France a little bit. Japan's 10-year is really sticking hard at this, lower levels, and that's the bond market. Okay. Let's see what else we got going on. Let's look at commodities. So slow down, right? Lower oil prices. So we've been trading in a tighter range than we had been, right? 102 now. So we've been trading anywhere between, up and down, above and below 100, maybe a few bucks. That's been the the way it's been. Natural gas is traded up from that 5.5 level to 7.50, up another 21 cents today, and down from the 9 level. But it's different in Europe, you know that, right? It's much higher over there, of course. Gold down again. What a pig! It's hard to pick a bottom in that thing. Copper also a pig, but it hasn't gone down in a few days, which is a big positive considering what it's been doing, right? And then you have the agricultural commodities, and by and large, guys, they are at pre-invasion levels, more or less. You know, especially the ones that were influenced by Russia. No, I have no idea, Jeremy. But whatever he's smoking, I wish he would share it with the rest of us. I don't know how you do that. Cotton is the one that's gotten really killed. But by and large, it's what I said, you know, most stuff is trading at pre-pandemic levels, okay? Currencies, you have dollar mixed against North America, down a little bit against the yen, up against the Chinese currency again, trading at basically the highs, more or less. And the euro is at 102. Guys, the dollar is really a big thing here, okay? And we have to pay attention to it, all right? If the dollar continues to you know, either stays or even gets stronger than it is, that's a real headwind for a lot of our companies. I think the S&P as a whole does around 30 to 35% of their business outside the US. Some companies more, some companies less. But that's a big number, especially when the dollar is so strong. I mean, your profit margin in an inflationary environment, your profit margins are going to really get squeezed. And I anticipate that a lot of these industrial companies are going to warn when they have earnings that, you know, the FX is really hurting their profitability. Okay, so that's really important. Okay, so that's currency. So we really have, that's something that's super important. I can't stress it enough. Okay, so that's currencies. Let's go to crypto. Crypto's come off the bottom pretty good, right? Today, Bitcoin is up another 1.5% to 23,000. It got down to what, a little under 19 for a few minutes. But of course, down a lot from their highs, but that's what it is. Okay, Ethereum's up another 2, and Solana's down 1, but it had a big day yesterday. Okay, and let's look at the foreign markets. Okay, after opening higher, you have the FTSE now down 0.5%. The DAX is down a full 1%. Now remember, they didn't really participate in a lot of our rally yesterday, like we did anyway. Down 1%, 141 points. And in Asia, you had the Nikkei have a great night. They were up 2.5%. China was basically flat, and Hong Kong was up 1%. Okay, so that's basically the backdrop. All right, so then let's see what we have here. We have the banks and Fed. Nothing really came out from those guys overnight that I saw, but we're getting closer to that, a Fed day when they're going to increase rates, most probably by 0.75 points. So nothing really new there. What is China? I read a bunch of stuff about a lot of Chinese looking to leave China, and the question is, will she let them leave? Then there was an interesting article from Henry Kissinger. Well, you guys know who he is. He's 99, but the guy's still sharp as a tack. And he was saying, you got to be really careful. You can't constantly battle China on every front. They're here to stay, and you got to learn to coexist. Otherwise, you're going to have a World War II situation, and it'll be really an ugly situation. The guy is a special mind of our time, okay? And when he says something, you have to pay attention. It's not like he's a 99-year-old, that doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy opened China up to the world, okay? He's very special, and he knows what he's talking about. And so when he says something, you don't have to agree with him. You don't have to disagree with him, but think about what he says, okay? Because he is been at the top of the class for decades. Okay. And, you know, I just want to put special attention on that. Okay. China also is not the biggest holder of US debt, only 1 trillion. My guess is they probably want to get out of it altogether, which, you know, just coincides with Kissinger is saying. You guys have to learn to coexist. I think it's important. I know if it was up to the people in both countries, they'd coexist just fine. It's governments who bang heads. Okay, so that moves us to Russia. So what's going on there? So now they want more land from Ukraine than they originally anticipated. And they're going to start annexing part of Ukraine. So says the US government. And what else are they doing? He was in, Putin was in Iran, meeting with Iran and Turkey. And nothing formidable came out of it. But in the readings that I did, he was trying to get people to move away from the dollar. I think that is, you know, and China would probably love that idea as well. Gives the US a really big edge in global trade, and they'd like to, you know, turn that down a notch. The thing that bothers me most about this is Turkey is a NATO country, and they're going to Iran and meeting with Russia. I don't know, the whole thing just doesn't sit well with me. You want to be, you know, Switzerland, be my guest. But, you know, we have a lot of stuff in Turkey, and they are a slippery bunch. Okay, so that's that with Iran and Turkey. Crypto, we discussed. The oil market. There's a couple of comments I'll get to in a few moments on that. The virus, the numbers are really bad, but, you know, it's like we've learned to live with this thing. You know, you get the virus, you stay home. They say the numbers aren't accurately is telling you how bad it is, because people just know, okay, I got it, I'll stay home. You know, I'll take the, you know, the meds and I'll be okay in a few days. Which for the most part, if you've had vaccines and you've kept up with your vaccines, you're fine. But they are saying in the news, if you don't, you know, the hospitalizations are up. So if you're not an anti-vaxxer, get your vaccines, okay? Dollar we discussed, Mr. Market yesterday. Mr. Market yesterday was one of those special days, guys. I mean, truly, there wasn't a group that was left behind, all right? Everything was up, and it was up a lot, all right? You don't see it that much. I think it was a combination of, you know, people not being enough in the market and FOMO, right? They're going to leave without them. And then you had guys who were short who had to cover. And these hedge funds have been, you know, between a rock and a hard place. They've underperformed. They need to stop underperforming, because at the end of the year, if they don't, they're going to lose a lot of assets. So they chase. They're chasers right now, and they're betwixt and between. They don't know what to do. So that was the market. But, you know, semis were super on fire. FANG was good. There were very few places. You know, you had a couple of spotty names that were soft. I happened to be in 2 of them, as you know, Bristol and A&J, which worked out well. And I shorted IBM overnight because I just thought the numbers were terrible. And is that down? Yeah, it's down a little bit. Okay, so that's that. So let's move on to today. Okay. I don't know if you saw the mortgage demand. It's the lowest level in 22 years. Couple that with what I was talking about with Ivy Selman yesterday, and you have a pretty nasty housing market. You know, we're just entering that. So sellers are going to have to get down to meet buyers, and then maybe things will pick up a little bit. But I think they, you know, need to smell what's going on here and cut prices. And so that's a couple of guys were saying that they think housing prices are going to go back down to pre-pandemic levels. That is a long way. So I don't know if I'm in that camp, but I do think there's going to be softness in the housing market for a good amount of time. Okay. Ackman, I didn't talk about it yesterday. He gave back the money from the SPAC, which is, that's a payday for that guy. For him to do that really meant he looked high and low and could not find anything. That's that. Let's see what else. The government ended the COVID plan for cruises. So now I think they can book the whole ship. So maybe things will get a little better, but those balance sheets really suck, guys. So be careful. The Nord Stream pipeline is open, but with limited supply. And Europeans are screaming that Russia's using energy and food as a weapon. Duh. Okay. I mean, like, really? Goldman. It's too soon to say inflation has peaked, and they think stocks have further to go down. Never trust anything Goldman says, guys. Okay, they may just be looking to load up. Anybody else, yeah, you can believe them. But Goldman Sachs, these guys are the devil. So be careful when you listen to what they say. They're traders, okay? And they'll trade the market based upon putting out information that's not quite true. BlackRock is saying U.S. equities are, you should lower your exposure to U.S. equities and buy European equities. This is the company that's saying housing prices will go to pre-pandemic levels, Penn National. I don't know why they have an expertise, but that's what they're saying. BlackRock is saying the Fed has a long way to go to get inflation under control. They think Fed funds need to get to 5%. They think the recession risk is not over. And equities are, you got to be careful in equities, okay? Okay, what else? I told you about that. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. All right, so now let's talk about individual names. Okay, you had numbers out. OMC was good. Netflix wasn't good. I would say it wasn't bad. And if your leadership is contingent, and Kramer brought this point up, and I agree with him, on they lost less subscribers, that's not a real warm and fuzzy feeling. It's a double negative, creating a positive. I'm not really into double negatives. All right. Oh, they didn't lose as bad, so we should buy the market. I'm not into that whole double negative shit. Okay, CMA was good. Now NDAQ was decent. Okay, a couple of stocks rallying on the Netflix news, Disney being one of them. I sold that earlier today. What else? Roku's up a little bit, but look at these gains. They're fading back to nothing. Okay, so that's that one. NVAX, got approval for the drug. Big deal. We knew that was coming. And that's the positives. Let's look at the negatives. Okay, you have, I can't read my writing. Is it FLR or FSR? I don't know. Doesn't matter. We don't trade it either way. BBWI was bad, right? That's down $2.50. BKR was bad. That's hard to believe. Okay. I mean, what's going on there? So it's dragging down this group a little bit, and the price of oil's down. So BKR was negative. JBH Hunt looked good on the face, but after they started speaking, stock got hit. All right, Abbott Labs is down on earnings. ASML is down on earnings. BIIB is down on earnings as well. Okay. What else? VBLD, Vanderbilt, VBLT, excuse me, FDA, biotech disaster du jour. And Merck had a drug that didn't meet endpoints, but look, Merck is Merck. One drug ain't gonna make a hill of beans for the most part. Okay, tonight we have a bunch of earnings we need to make sure we know about. Okay, AA, CCI, Crown Corp, CSX, Discovery, Equifax, KMI, LVS. Now they said they were opening Macau on Saturday, so these stocks were up, but I think this was probably anticipated. LVS has earnings, so be careful there. XM, Tesla, of course. UAL comes out, and tomorrow prior to the opening, you got American Airlines, AutoNation, BX, DHI, FCX, Dow Chemical, Union Pacific, Nokia, Nucor, SAP, so a whole slew of names, okay? Make sure you're not in them, okay? UNP, etc. Okay, so that's that. What else we got? Earnings, research. Let's see, I'm just gonna hit the ones that are significant because I think these, look, I'll give you a perfect example. Caesars, Susquehanna, reiterates the sell 32 target. Goldman Sachs picked it as their #1 stock as far as cheapness. And what is this? Robinson Humphrey, the Truist, reiterates the buy with a 70 target. Okay, so like, have you ever? It seems like everything has become Tesla. You know, these analysts are all over the board and none of them really have a clue. CMI was downgraded. They see soft demand, oversupplied, et cetera, et cetera. BNP Paribas downgraded Google to neutral, target 118. AMD was downgraded by, I think it was it Jefferies? Hold on. Deutsche Bank. Target goes from 115 to 85. Let's see, Juniper and ANET were downgraded as well. And and on the long side, the Bernstein likes Datadog, NOW, and they upgraded BABA with a 130 target. Netflix, all these monkeys said the same thing. And that's that. Okay, so that's it for me. Let's have a good day today, guys. Don't push the button for the sake of pushing the buttons. Wait for your opportunities. They'll come for sure. Okay, Spartan, it's all yours.
Alrighty, thank you, South Beach, guys. Morning. What is going on? So if you guys are new to chat, make sure to check out the new to chat information section. If you guys are coming in today, if you guys are coming in from the, if you signed up, make sure to click the Discord link that we sent you, but make sure to leave the free Discord first and then click that link. Otherwise, you won't be assigned the new roles to see that, to see all the alert sections. Once you guys do come in, it looks like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in. Like I said, new to chat information section, give that a read. We'll go through that once I do close on the YouTube stream. Pre-market tickers on watch, everything's posted here. If you're watching the YouTube stream, you can certainly just pause it and read this stuff. Obviously, you can see all the charts are posted. Action plans posted, as well as on the option side, we have the options, notes posted as well. All right, pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got going on today? Tesla, Netflix, Disney, Coin, Roku, and SDIG. Tesla gapping up ahead of earnings. Netflix earnings beat EPS and rev miss. Year-over-year growth 8.6%. Q3 guidance lowered. Beat on sub, decrease in quarter. Disney gapping up in sympathy with Netflix. Coin gapping up in sympathy with Bitcoin. Roku gapping up in sympathy with Netflix. And SDIG gapping up on volume and in sympathy with Bitcoin there. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two we're looking at today, guys, are Tesla and Netflix. So let's have a look at those. All right, Tesla, Netflix, let's have a look. Tesla gapping, or was gapping up quite a bit, but now not anymore, obviously. 743.88, aka the 50 EMA on the daily, is the pivot to the upside today. Level hold 758.14 to 768.93. Unable to hold 716.69 to the 697.88 level on the downside. Overall, going to be leaning bullish neutral only if that pivot point can be reclaimed today. So that's going to be the key, getting back above that level. Netflix pivot 210.49 to the upside today. Level holds 217.43 to 223.19 will be tested. Unable to hold 205.13 to 197.54 on the downside. Leaning bullish neutral on that name. Looking for a continuation push to the upside today as well. Let's take a look at Disney. Let's take a look at Coin. Disney 158 pivot, level holds 102.97 will be tested. That level breaks. Room towards 105. Unable to hold 98.72 to 95.96 on the downside will be tested. Overall on Disney, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today. Coin pivot. Sorry guys, it's coughs. Annoying. Coin 6742 pivot level hold 7102 to 7260, unable to hold 6405 to 5862, leading bullish neutral if pivot can be reclaimed as well. Let's take a look at Roku. Let's take a look at SDIG. Roku pivot on the upside today is going to be the 90 level holds 9320 to 9816, unable to hold. We got room back towards 86 to 8203, leaning bearish on that name, looking for continuation lower if the pivot's unable to hold. Just feels a lot weaker than the other names moving in sympathy with Netflix. And then last but not least, guys, SDIG 270 pivot level holds 297 will be tested. Unable to hold, or that level breaks 338, unable to hold 245 to 215. All right, let's take a look at the VIX Qs, IWM, SPY, individual name, or SPY and the FANG. Market, what do we got going on here, guys? So SPY, 392.27 pivot to the upside today. This level is reclaimed. Room higher into the 394.29 resistance breaks. We see the 395.89 tested. Pivot unable to hold. Room lower into the 390.88 support. Breaks, we see the 389.02 tested. Meaning bearish unless pivot reclaimed. So obviously pivot reclaims, you're going to be back above some pretty major support on the daily, and then it's going to be about getting above the 50 EMA next, which is around 394. So we'll see what happens there. Big levels of resistance to break through. Okay, let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG. The FANG, that is, no? Apple pivot upside today, guys. 151.76 level holds 153.42 to 154.98. Unable to hold 149.73 to 148.42. Sorry, on the downside. Overall, an Apple leaning bullish. We're looking for a continuation push to the upside today if the pivot can be reclaimed. Amazon pivot upside is going to be the 118.13 level holds 121.76 to 120. I believe 3. Yeah, 123.86 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback to 115.76 to 112.58. Downside leaning bullish on that. The pivot can hold. We talked about Netflix already. Let's go to Meta. Meta 175.49 pivot level holds 178.42. That level breaks. We got room for continuation into the 83.90 level. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 170, 148 to 168.88. Downside leaning bullish neutral there. Let's take a look at Google. Pivot on the upside 114.84 level holds. We have room for continuation into the 116.29 level. That level breaks 118. Unable to hold 112.55 to 110.02 downside. Leaning bullish neutral there. Oh, sorry, leaning bearish neutral, looking for continuation lower there. I don't really like the look of Google on the daily. VIX 24.79 pivot reclaims 26.01, 27.44. Unable to hold 23.47 downside. And then last but not least, the Qs and IWM guys, QQQ, pivot to the upside today, 298.40. Daily chart looks fantastic. Level holds 304, unable to hold 294.79 to 288.27 downside. Any bullish there? Then last but not least, guys, IWM, pivot to the upside today is going to be the 178.35 level holds 180.33, unable to hold 174.91 to 171.22 downside. And leaning bullish neutral there. Anyways, guys, that's a SPY, that's a FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today. If you guys are watching the YouTube stream, we do this every single Wednesday. So we'll see you next week. Any questions, you go to spartantrading.com. Free Discord link in the bio in the description as well. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.